The sharp scent of cedar from freshly sharpened pencils permeated the air as Lily Chen took in her new classroom. Sunlight poured through the generous windows of Sunny Meadow Elementary, scattering light across the room where tidy desks awaited their occupants. 30 young faces, a mix of anticipation and shy concern, turned towards her. "Good morning," she greeted them, her voice a soothing cadence, like pebbles tumbling in a stream. "I'm Lily Chen, and I'm thrilled to be your teacher this year." A genuine smile lit her face, easing some of the children's wariness. A hand shot up immediately from the first row. "Are you going to be a mean teacher?" a boy named Billy blurted. Lily chuckled, a light, airy sound. "Respect is the key, Billy. Respect for ourselves, for each other, and for the journey of learning. With that, we'll have a wonderful year." Her gaze held a serene strength that indicated a deep conviction. Principal Thompson's office offered a less comforting atmosphere. "We appreciate you filling this vacancy on such short notice, Miss Chun," the principal commented, straightening his tie. "Your credentials are certainly impressive." He hesitated, scrutinizing her over his glasses. "Perhaps some would advance for the 3rd grade?" Lily offered a serene smile. "Every child deserves a top-tier education, regardless of age. And," she added, a playful glint in her eyes, "I do appreciate a good challenge." Heading back to her classroom, fragments of whispers reached her ears from the cluster of students by the water cooler. "I heard she's a martial arts master," one girl breathed, eyes wide. "My brother says she can karate chop concrete blocks," another boy bragged, attempting to flex his non-existent muscles. "He also said she's super strict and makes you do endless push-ups if you mess up." Lily allowed a secret smile to curve her lips. Let them wonder. Let them create tall tales. The truth would reveal itself soon enough. The bell's peal announced the beginning of class. Straightening her skirt, she faced the door, her eyes alight with quiet resolution. Showtime. The gauntlet, it seemed, had already been thrown down, and she was eager to take up the challenge. "Bart's bad idea." "I'm telling you," Bart the Bruiser Miller spat, kicking a loose pebble across the cracked asphalt of the schoolyard. "She's too perfect." "It's sickening." Max, ever the follower, nodded eagerly. "Yeah, Miss Lily's like sunshine and rainbows all the time. Makes me want to puke." Kevin, usually more reserved, chewed nervously on his thumbnail. "I don't know, Bart. She seems nice." Bart rounded on him, his face contorted in a sneer. "Nice? That's exactly what I'm talking about. Nobody's that nice. It's got to be an act. And I'm going to expose her." "How?" Max asked, eyes wide with anticipation. Bart puffed out his chest, a spark of mischief igniting in his eyes. "We're going to pull a prank. A classic. Something she won't forget." He paused for dramatic effect. "Something that'll show everyone she's not so perfect after all." Kevin swallowed hard. "What kind of prank?" Bart grinned, a flash of teeth. "Think. Embarrassing photo. Think. Maximum humiliation." He lowered his voice, drawing them closer. "During recess tomorrow, when she's bending over to pick up those stupid flowers the kindergartners keep dropping, we get a picture. A really good picture." Max hooped, punching the air. "Dude, that's awesome. Think of the bragging rights." Kevin still looked hesitant. "But what if we get caught?" Bart scoffed. "Relax, Kev. We'll be sneaky. I'll distract her with a lost football. Max, you'll be on lookout. And you, Kevin." He clapped Kevin on the shoulder. "You'll be the photographer. Your phone has the best camera." Kevin fidgeted, but the lure of potential popularity was too strong to resist. Okay. But if we get in trouble, I'm blaming you." Bart ignored him, already lost in the details of his plan. "We gotta be quick. One shot, perfect angle. This is gonna be legendary." He paced back and forth, sketching out the scene with his hands. "The flower bed is right by the oak tree. Kevin, you hide behind it. Max, keep an eye out for Principal Thompson. I'll accidentally kick the football near Miss Lily. She'll bend down and bam. History." The bell rang, signaling the end of recess. As they walked back towards the school building, a nervous energy crackled in the air. Bart, fueled by his desire to disrupt Miss Lily's unflappable demeanor, could almost taste victory. He didn't notice the subtle flicker of doubt in Kevin's eyes, or the way Max's excitement seemed almost forced. All he saw was the potential for chaos, and the promise of fleeting glory. The dare. "Remember what we talked about?" Bart, the bruiser, Miller growled, his voice a low rumble that vibrated in the cramped space behind the bike sheds. He jabbed a thick finger at Max, then Kevin. "Miss Lily's got to learn who runs the school." Max shuffled his feet, kicking at a loose pebble. "I don't know, Bart. It feels wrong." The midday sun glinted off his braces as he spoke, making him look even younger than his 12 years. Kevin, usually the more compliant of the two, chewed nervously on his lower lip. "Yeah, and what if we get caught? My mom would kill me." He glanced at the dusty ground, avoiding Bart's piercing gaze. Bart's eyes narrowed. "A promise is a promise. You both swore. Besides," he added with a sneer, "you wouldn't want people thinking you're scared, would you?" He knew exactly which buttons to push. Fear was a potent weapon. Max and Kevin exchanged worried looks. The weight of their earlier bravado, fueled by sugary snacks and dreams of notoriety, now felt like lead in their stomachs. They had agreed, back then, that Miss Lily, with her annoyingly cheerful disposition and refusal to back down, needed to be taken down a peg. But now, faced with the reality of Bart's plan, their enthusiasm had evaporated. "Here's the deal," Bart continued, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "She's always near the water fountain after third period. Max, you accidentally bump into her, make her drop her books. Kevin, you're behind her. Quick photo." "Got it." He held up his phone, its camera lens gleaming ominously. "The angle is key. Make sure you get the shot. Then disappear. Meet back here. No talking about it. Ever." He tapped the phone against his palm, the rhythmic sound a subtle threat. The best part, the look on her face when she sees it posted online. He grinned, a flash of predatory satisfaction. "That'll wipe that goody-two-shoes smile right off her face." Max swallowed hard. He imagined Miss Lily's face, her usual warmth replaced by humiliation. A wave of guilt washed over him, bitter and unwelcome. But the thought of facing Bart's wrath, of being ostracized and ridiculed, was an even greater fear. Kevin, equally conflicted, just nodded, his eyes wide with apprehension. The bell signaling the end of second period echoed across the yard, a starting pistol for their ill-fated dare. Recess rumble. Recess exploded with the usual cacophony. Shouts of tag, the rhythmic thud of a basketball, and the high-pitched squeals from the swings filled the air. Miss Lilychun, standing near the monkey bars, went slightly at the noise. It was a far cry from the tranquil library she usually inhabited. A small figure with pigtails, Lily, stumbled toward her, tears welling. "Miss Chun, I fell," she wailed, pointing to a scraped knee bleeding sluggishly. Miss Lily knelt instantly, her face etched with concern. "Oh, sweetie, let's get you cleaned up." She pulled a small first aid kit from her bag, her movements deft and comforting. Meanwhile, across the blacktop, Max and Kevin shuffled nervously. "Go on," Bart the bruiser Miller hissed, shoving Kevin forward. "Just ask her about, the book club. Anything." Kevin, face pale, inched toward Miss Lily, his hands clammy. He swallowed hard. Miss Chun," he stammered, his voice cracking. "About the books for the club?" Miss Lily looked up, her brow furrowed. "The book club? Yes, Kevin. Is there a problem?" She continued dabbing at Lily's knee with antiseptic, her attention divided but alert. Bart, seeing his chance, began his stealthy approach. Or at least, he thought it was stealthy. He lumbered like a baby elephant, his phone clutched in his sweaty palm, held low. The sunlight glinted off the phone's screen, a beacon in the chaos of the playground. He tripped over a jump rope, letting out a muffled oof that made a gaggle of girls nearby giggle. Miss Lily's head snapped up, her eyes narrowing slightly. She saw Kevin's panicked expression, Bart's awkward stumble, and the reflection of the sun on the phone. The pieces clicked into place with unsettling clarity. A flicker of something dark and intense passed across her face, gone so quickly that it might have been a trick of the light. "Just a sec, Lily," she said, her voice deceptively gentle. She finished applying a bandage to Lily's knee with practiced ease. "All better. Now off you go." As Lily scampered away, Miss Lily rose, her gaze fixed on Kevin. "Kevin," she said, her voice now cool and measured. "Perhaps we can discuss the book club later. During detention." The dodge. Miss Lily, kneeling to examine her scraped knee, tilted her head, a strand of dark hair falling across her cheek. The scent of freshly cut grass filled the air, mingling with the metallic tang of blood from her wound. "Just a scratch," she murmured, more to herself than to the hovering boys. Bart, ever the opportunist, subtly nudged Kevin forward. "Hey, Miss Chen, you sure you're okay? Kevin here's got some antiseptic wipes in his bag." He gestured vaguely, hoping the distraction would work. Kevin, bless his easily manipulated heart, shuffled forward, fumbling with the zipper of his backpack. "Yeah, I think I do." But Miss Lily wasn't looking at Kevin. Her gaze was fixed on Bart's sneakers, the subtle shift in his weight betraying his intentions. A flicker of something unreadable crossed her face. It happened in a blur. As Kevin finally unearthed a packet of wipes, Bart gave the prearranged signal, a nearly imperceptible nod, and Kevin moved slightly left, opening the angle. At that precise moment, Miss Lily moved. Not up, not forward, but sideways. It wasn't a graceful movement, not exactly. It was too fast, too economical. Like a lizard darting under a rock, she simply wasn't there anymore. The phone, wielded by Bart with clumsy enthusiasm, whistled harmlessly through the air where she'd been kneeling, landing with a pathetic thud in the soft grass. Bart stumbled backward, eyes wide with disbelief. His phone slipped from his nerveless fingers. "What the?" he sputtered, staring at the patch of empty ground. Kevin, antiseptic wipe clutched in his hand like a useless weapon, stood frozen, mouth agape. Max, who'd been lingering by the bike rack, a smirk already forming on his face, looked like he'd just seen a ghost. Miss Lily, now standing a good 5 feet away, brushed a fleck of dirt from her jeans. Her expression was calm, too calm. "Is there a problem, boys?" she asked, her voice deceptively gentle. Bart scrambled for his phone, his face flushed crimson. He picked it up, fumbling. "No, Miss Chen. No problem at all. Just admiring the scenery." Miss Lily's gaze narrowed, a hint of suspicion flickering in her eyes. "The scenery, huh? Funny, I didn't realize the ground was so captivating." Secret of the mountains. The sting in Lily's knee throbbed, a dull counterpoint to the sharper ache of suspicion. Bart and Kevin. Their smirks, their clumsy attempts to blend in, it all fell off. She glanced at her reflection in the darkened window of the classroom, her face a mask of calm that belied the churning unease within. A memory, unbidden, surfaced. Pine needles crunching under bare feet, the thin, biting air of the mountains. She was 8 years old, small and wiry, standing before her grandfather in the pre-dawn light. The dojo, a simple wooden structure overlooking a valley shrouded in mist, was silent save for the rustling of bamboo leaves. Grandfather Chun, his face etched with the wisdom of generations, held a wooden bakken. "Again, Lily!" he commanded, his voice a low rumble that resonated with the mountains themselves. She bowed, her small hands forming a fist. The kata flowed from her, each movement precise, each breath controlled. The bakken whistled as it cut through the air, mirroring her movements, testing her resolve. Years blurred into a montage of sweat and determination. Lily, balancing on narrow logs, honing her sense of equilibrium. Lily, shattering stacks of tiles with a focused strike, her face a portrait of unwavering concentration. Lily, sparring with older, larger students, her agility and speed compensating for her lack of size. Grandfather Chun, watching with hawk-like intensity, would stop her mid-motion. "Discipline, Lily. It is the foundation. Without it, strength is merely brute force." Another time, after a particularly grueling session, he sat beside her, the setting sun painting the valley in hues of orange and gold. "Karate is not about aggression, child. It is about respect. Respect for yourself, respect for others. Use your skills to protect the innocent, to defend the weak. Never for personal gain, never to inflict unnecessary harm." His words echoed in her mind, a constant reminder of the responsibility that came with her training. A responsibility she felt keenly now, facing the aftermath of the incident in the classroom. Bart and Kevin. Their actions reeked of disrespect, of a blatant disregard for decency. She had handled the situation with restraint, mindful of her grandfather's teachings. But her patience was wearing thin. The mountains had taught her more than just karate. They had instilled in her a sense of justice, a fierce protectiveness of those who couldn't protect themselves. She straightened her skirt, the fabric rough against her skin. The classroom seemed to shrink around her, the air thick with unspoken tension. She had a feeling this was far from over. The secret of the mountains, the strength forged in its unforgiving embrace, was a weapon she hoped she wouldn't have to use again. But if necessary, she would, for her students, for herself, and for the memory of her grandfather. Confrontation. Miss Lily limped slightly, the sting in her knee a persistent reminder of the chase. She spotted them huddled near the oak tree, Bart's hulking frame practically swallowing Kevin whole. Something glinted on the ground between them. She picked it up. Bart's phone. The screen was cracked. "Bart," she said, her voice even, not accusatory, but carrying a quiet weight. Kevin flinched, but Bart puffed out his chest, trying to look nonchalant. "Miss Chun. Hey, didn't see you there." He nudged Kevin. Kevin was just, showing me his new pencil sharpener. Kevin's face was a mask of terror. He stammered, "Why, yes, Miss Chun. A really pointy one." Miss Lily ignored the pathetic performance. She held up the phone. "This yours, Bart?" He shuffled his feet. "Yeah. So, she continued, walking closer, the scent of freshly cut grass filling the air. "I think you dropped it when you were running." She paused, letting the word hang in the air. Running from what exactly, Bart? He didn't answer, just glared at the ground. Miss Lily knelt carefully, wincing as her knee protested. She looked from Bart to Kevin, her gaze steady and unwavering. "I'm not angry," she said softly, "but I am disappointed, and honestly a little hurt." She saw the confusion flicker across their faces. "What you were trying to do, taking pictures like that, it's not just a prank, boys. It's disrespectful. It's dehumanizing. Imagine someone doing that to your mother, your sister, your friend." The air crackled with a sudden, uncomfortable silence. A robin chirped from a nearby branch, the sound unnaturally loud. Bart's bravado seemed to deflate, his broad shoulders slumping slightly. Kevin was staring at his shoes, his face red. "Everyone deserves respect, Bart. Kevin, regardless of what they wear, or how they look. And trust, once broken, is a very difficult thing to repair." Miss Lily stood up, favoring her injured knee. "I'm not going to report this, but I want you both to understand the gravity of your actions. I want you to think about what you did and why it was wrong." She held out Bart's phone. He hesitantly took it, avoiding her gaze. "Now," she said, her voice softening further, "I think you both owe me and yourselves an apology. The challenge and the display." Bart, face burning hotter than asphalt in July, sputtered, "Karate, huh? More like Carolot for scraped knees. You think that little stumble scared us?" He puffed out his chest, a pathetic imitation of intimidation. "I bet I could take you. Right here. Right now." Miss Lily's eyebrows remained perfectly level. She dabbed at her knee again with a tissue, a faint crimson stain blooming on the white cotton. "Is that a challenge, Mr. Miller?" "Yeah, it's a challenge. After school. Schoolyard. You and me. Mano a mano. Or a womano a mano, I guess." Kevin snickered nervously beside him, unsure if Bart's bravado was sheer stupidity or some genius-level tactic he couldn't grasp. A ghost of a smile played on Miss Lily's lips. "I accept your challenge. However, let's be clear. This won't be a fight, Mr. Miller. It will be a demonstration." The final bell shrieked through the halls, a chaotic symphony of slamming lockers and shouts. Bart, fueled by adrenaline and a desperate need to reclaim some semblance of dignity, practically dragged Kevin to the schoolyard. A small crowd of curious onlookers had already gathered, a mix of students and a few teachers who looked deeply concerned. Miss Lily arrived a few minutes later, having changed out of her dress and into a simple white GI. The transformation was startling. Gone was the slightly flustered teacher. In her place stood someone radiating a quiet, focused power. She bowed to the assembled crowd, then faced Bart. "Ready, Mr. Miller?" Bart, suddenly feeling a tremor of unease, just nodded. He expected her to charge him, to try some fancy kick. Instead, Miss Lily began a series of kata. Her movements were fluid and precise, each strike and block executed with breathtaking control. She moved like water, flowing around imaginary opponents, her hands a blur of motion. A sharp ki punctuated each sequence, a sound that vibrated in Bart's chest. He watched, mesmerized, as she transitioned from graceful blocks to lightning-fast punches, each movement carrying an undeniable force. The setting sun glinted off the sweat on her brow, highlighting the intense concentration etched on her face. She finished with a final, powerful stance, her eyes closed, her breathing deep and even. The schoolyard was silent. Then, a ripple of applause broke out. Even Kevin was clapping, albeit weakly. Miss Lily opened her eyes, her gaze sweeping over the crowd. "Karate is not about violence," she said, her voice clear and strong. "It is about discipline, respect, and control. It is about protecting yourself and others, not about bullying or intimidation." She bowed again. "Thank you for your time." A new path. Lily dabbed at her abraded knee, a sharp twinge a constant reminder of her undignified fall. She watched Bart and Kevin, who loomed near the nurse's station, their usual bravado absent. Bart, whose chest-thumping antics usually dominated the playground, was diminished, his shoulders slumped. Kevin, tongue-tied with guilt, avoided her gaze completely. Bart scuffed at the floor, a phantom pebble the target of his unease. "Miss Chun," he mumbled, his voice a near whisper. "I owe you an apology." A surprised lift of Lily's brow greeted his words. "Indeed." He swallowed, his Adam's apple bobbing nervously. "What we did, the prank, it was a terrible idea. Just plain wrong. Stupid, disrespectful, and I'm really sorry." He finally looked up, a spark of genuine contrition flickering in his eyes. "I screwed up." Kevin, still struggling to find his voice, echoed the sentiment with an earnest nod. Lily scrutinized Bart's face, probing for any sign of insincerity. She found only chagrin and genuine remorse. "Apology accepted, Bart," she conceded, her voice softening. "However, words alone aren't enough. You need to grasp the why behind your actions and actively work to correct your behavior moving forward." An idea took root. "I can see you two have an abundance of energy," she observed. "Perhaps too much. How would you feel about learning to channel that energy constructively?" Bart looked blank. "What do you mean?" "I mean," Lily replied, a hint of a smile gracing her lips, "I could teach you karate." Bart's eyes widened in surprise. "Karate? For real?" "For real," Lily affirmed. "But it's not just about fighting. It cultivates discipline, respect, and self-control. It's about harnessing your strength for good, not for creating mayhem." And thus it began. After the final bell, in the echoing expanse of the gymnasium, Ms. Lily Chen, black belt instructor, initiated Bart and Kevin into the world of martial arts. Stances, blocks, strikes. Initially, their movements were ungainly, their pent-up energy misdirected. Gradually, however, under Lily's patient tutelage, they began to find their footing, their coordination improving. The playground shoves and taunts ceded ground to focused grunts and the sharp snap of their GIs. Bart, surprisingly, displayed a natural aptitude, his raw power translating into potent strikes. Kevin, though less physically imposing, showed remarkable agility and a sharp eye for detail. News of their transformation rippled through Sunny Meadow Elementary. The school bullies, now students of Miss Chen's karate class, a novel respect, compounded equally of trepidation and admiration, permeated the hallways. The atmosphere changed palpably. Playground altercations diminished, the taunts in the lunchroom faded. Sunny Meadow Elementary evolved into a safer, more harmonious environment, one deliberate block, one controlled strike at a time.